Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Hobby Dude 007 channel. Hey guys, today we're going to start something totally different than we usually do. This is something I'm doing for a dear friend of mine, and it's something to assist in his ministry with Missions Aviation Fellowship. When he presents missions or MAF to groups, he has a display set up, and I thought it would be really cool to have one of the historic little displays, a little diorama to put with that. So we're going to knock that out today, and we're going to be doing an aircraft. It's probably going to take a couple, maybe 3 videos, but I do want to do something that will honor this ministry and be an assistance to Frank. So we're going to get started on this, and I'm going to tell you the story about this particular airplane and the awesome pilot and the man behind it. Let's get going. Bring your model to life with MCV products. Visit them on the World Wide Web at mcvproducts.com. Our subject aircraft for this diorama is a Piper PA-14, and it will be sitting on a sandbar, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. But the pilot of this plane was a guy by the name of Nate Saint. He was born in August of 1923 in Pennsylvania to a Christian home, and he accepted Christ at an early age and developed a desire to serve God. In his youth, he loved to build model airplanes. He had a real knack with mechanical gadgets, and he loved experimenting and designing things. Through model building, he developed patience and an engineer's thinking, as it was described, and doing some precision work. He understood aerodynamics through working on his model airplanes. He developed problem-solving skills, and he learned how parts go together and how things work on an airplane through these models. And just like with me, my dad and my uncles taught me a lot about cars, but I learned a lot from building models early on. But he used it as a training ground for future aviation work and got pretty good with it. During World War II, he joined the Army Air Corps, and he gained flight experience, mechanical knowledge, a lot of confidence in aviation from his flying. He became a master mechanic and problem solver. In fact, he was known for being able to fix aircraft in difficult conditions. He adapted tools to fix certain things and techniques for using those. So he was pretty skilled when it came to his confidence in flying and in working on these things. After World War II, he felt a calling to serve in Ecuador, and he joined Mission Aviation Fellowship. From there, he went down to fly and deliver supplies, medical aid, missionaries. Sometimes he would pick up people in bad shape and take them to hospitals. But in these remote jungle villages, he developed what was called a bucket drop, in which he had to use some of his, or show off some technical excellence in flying. In this bucket drop, he could fly an extremely tight circle while lowering a bucket of, whether it was food, medical supplies, whatever, into jungle areas down to these tribes, these Indians, and was very good at it. He exercised, of course, through this a lot of courage and creativity. And later on, he got hooked up with 4 other missionaries, and they were working on contacting a tribe that had not been contacted before other than by Shell Oil Company. And the workers that Shell sent in to contact these people had all been murdered by these people. And they were the Guarani, or the Auca Indians, or Auca people. And they were known to be an isolated tribe, and they were known to be pretty hostile. And of all those attempts made, no one was successful. Well, Nate Saint, along with missionaries Jim Elliott, Ed McCullough, Pete Fleming and Roger Yondarian, put together a plan. And of course, strategically, Nate put together a plan to make friendly contacts with these natives through his bucket drops. He eventually would drop off food, things for them, the Auca, and they would, over time, they started sending back gifts to them. And of course, what they were trying to do was establish a trust from above. Well, as they searched the area, not too far on a riverbank, there was a sandbar that was just big enough to be able to land the airplane. So Nate went in on January the 6th, 1956, landed. They made contact with 3 of these villagers, and it turned out really, really well. They gave them food, even gave one a ride in the airplane so they could see their village, and everything looked really good, and the guys were really excited about their contact. Even though there was a language barrier there, they were excited about the contact and that it had been peaceful. And in fact, they even gave one of the villagers a model airplane that Nate had built as a gift. Well, the men returned on January the 8th, 1956, 2 days later, landed on the sandbar again, and because of the size of the plane, by the way, they had to shuttle these guys in just a few at a time. But the 5 men were there waiting when, from the jungle, the men of the village came out and speared them all to death. They killed all the missionaries, and when they didn't hear from them, they sent a rescue team in, and they found their bodies there. This was back in 1956 international news, and it sparked a renewed interest in the missions. But you know, it's amazing how God works, because through this outreach, Nate's own family, including his sister Rachel, along with Jim Elliott's wife Elizabeth Elliott, went on a 3-day trek into the jungle and ended up living with the same people that had killed their husbands and their family members and their brother, and winning them. Today, this tribe is no longer a hostile tribe. They have brought power to that village, that area. It's just not the same. But you know, Mission Aviation Fellowship now has over 130 aircraft spanning the globe, and they take all of these supplies, missionaries, medical aid, food, all over the world where it's needed. And I personally give to this organization monthly, and I feel strongly about it. And as I said, I do want this to be something that will help visually when Frank does his presentations for MAF. And you may be wondering, why in the world would they do this when they already knew these people were violent at that time? Well, I think they chose obedience over safety. You know, Mark 16:15 says, "Go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature." And these men did just that, and through their families. And now it's a whole different situation there. Jim Elliott, one of the missionaries that was killed, wrote in his journal, "We must be willing to give up what we cannot keep to gain what we cannot lose." Wise words. Well, guys, this diorama is to honor Nate Saint and these men, their sacrifice to the glory of God. And I wanted to share this with you so you would know the significance of this little build here. And I hope it's helpful for Frank. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, guys, the subject for this build was going to be Nate's Piper PA-14, and I could not locate a model that I wanted to add that little extra detail to available in a PA-14, but I did find this Minicraft 1/48 scale PA-18. But based on everything I've researched, the configuration was pretty much the same with the exception of this window right back here. The 14 had more of a almost a crescent type window in the back here. So we'll be making a change in this back window here a little bit. And other than that, I think it's going to be pretty good, but I'm really impressed with this thing. First off, the instructions were simple, comprehensive, and again, in 48 scale, this is not a gigantic aircraft, but we are going to be building a sandbar base. And we'll get into a little bit of that as we go along, but the instructions are really pretty comprehensive. We're going to be doing a replica of the ARCA operation aircraft. And as you see here, your painting instructions, like the interior, for example, the gray, the black, the brown leather seats. Honestly, most of these things, the companies pretty much maintained, as I can research, the same interior kind of setup. So I'm going to follow this. I don't have any interior shots, so I'm going to follow the instructions that they have here, but I'm going to make the other appropriate changes as we go along. Looking at the kit itself, get the clear parts out of there. I've already removed everything from the sprues. I did go ahead and assemble the interior, put the seat backs, the sticks, all of that in there. And I'm really impressed with the folds and the leather seats, that kind of stuff. I think this looks pretty good. And we'll be doing this in the gray and everything that it shows. I think that'll show up with the clear parts in there. Pretty good. The only thing with this that I didn't notice it until I got the primer on it, is there's an injection pin mark right there. So we'll be taking care of that too. And there's a little bottle that mounts back here too, so we'll take care of that and we'll get everything painted up. We'll try to get that wrapped up today. The wing pieces, we'll get these glued up, clamped up. The engine is, as I recall, I counted about 11 pieces. Pretty detailed for a 48 scale small aircraft like this. And we're going to be detailing that out and getting some washes on it so it looks really good and getting it mounted up. There's your windows and how they go in. And like I said, we'll be making some changes in those before we get that mounted up too. But overall, it's not an overly complicated kit. There are some changes in colors exterior-wise that I will have to make too. But everything looks pretty cool. There's two. Well, you know what? That's a two-piece, so that would make it a dozen pieces. But the cylinders, we'll get those together, and then the I think there's the actually, I'm not sure what that is. And I have built aircraft before, guys. It's been a long time, but I have done that. Tires, wheels. I'm going to try to go ahead and get everything in primer, and then go ahead and start putting a few things in color. And well, let's get some primer on stuff, and then we'll come back and take a look at it. And here are those clear parts I was telling you about there. And again, right back here is where we'll be making that little curvature there. And the clear part of the roof. The only thing about these things I don't like is, you see how thick that piece is? I don't know if I can get it to focus. That thick piece right there that goes right into the front of the windshield. So usually what I do is I'll cut it. Probably I'll take it off right about here, away from that part, and then I'll work it down little by little by little, because you don't want to damage it. And you know, whether it's windshields, back windows on a car, whatever, this kind of stuff occasionally will crop up too. I think this framework up here is going to look really good when it's painted too. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and get some primer on some of this stuff. And by the way, the decals for the actual aircraft. I've already got those ordered, and those hopefully won't be long before we'll have those, and we'll be able to get this thing wrapped up. But as parts on this are drying, I'm going to be shifting back and forth to other projects too. So let's get to it. Okay guys, so we got a lot assembled and primed. We'll start right here. There's our landing struts, and these will all be kind of that cub yellow. You see how the little foils are there. I think that looks pretty good. I got the wings assembled, and in fact I can probably take them off of these toothpicks now. Well, they're going to take themselves off. But everything looks really nice and smooth and primed up. Once we got these together, this seam that ran across the wing all the way around, we got that sanded down. I usually put a little extra glue, leave it for, typically that stuff cures in about 2 hours, the testers that I was using. But I also went along the edge with some of the Tamiya extra thin quick set, and pretty much took all that seam out and sanded that down really good, and then went back on both the wings and did that, and had a little more cleanup on this one because of the light that goes in here. Wanted to block that off just a little bit, and it looks like after the primer's on it I got a little bit more to do down in there. No big deal though, because we're going to have some aluminum back in there, or some chrome back in there, so that light will lens will reflect really good there. But these look pretty good, so we're going to get those back in the box there real quick. Also, get that out of there. The firewall, we got that assembled. I don't know if I can do that. Got the firewall assembled and primed, and we'll be doing this in semi-gloss black. And the engine went together really nicely. There was a few seams that I had to kind of cover up along the sides there where they didn't exactly line up even, but we got that nice and flat now. Everything else looks really good. Got it in primer. We'll be shooting this in the silver leaf, and then I'm going to go out and pick out go back and pick out the details around the exhaust where that comes out the bottom of the plane there, and just kind of bring out a few little other details with some other colors. And then of course we got our tires sanded down and smoothed, so those will be getting a coat of rubber black. But I did want to do the hubcap kind of things in there. I want to do those in that cub yellow, which I don't have that paint yet, so I'll probably wait to do that before I go back and hit it with the rubber black. But I do want to go ahead and get these two at least done. And oh, the interior, it's actually in the dehydrator right now. I'm going to go ahead, I put another coat after I filled in that mark on the top, or the injection pin mark. Fix that, and it's in the dehydrator, and I'll get that out here in just a minute, and I'm going to go ahead and paint that up too, and get these two pieces painted. I wanted to have the entire thing in there, but guys, I started discovering way more flash on the main fuselage than I expected. Let me put this thing together here a little bit, and you'll see it automatically. You notice right down in here, well, we got this seam, but down in here we've got a good bit of flash that needs to come off. And if you look right down through here in the front, you'll see we got flash here, here, back in here. There's some along the, well, there's another little mark there. So there's a little more to do on this, and I may save this to the next video, and when we come back, then I'll have this cleaned up and assembled then. But what I want to do to wrap this video up is go ahead and get these in color, and get the interior colors on the interior, and we will be right back. Okay guys, we're going to wrap this one up. First off, the firewall and engine mounts. I think those turned out really well, and that's in semi-gloss black, and that's Tamiya. But I think that looks pretty good. The interior, we went ahead and got our leather on the seats, and I used the old Model Master leather. I got about a half a bottle of that left, but the leather, and I think that looked pretty good. And to bring out a little more highlights in that, I used one of the, or a couple of the Tamiya Weathering Master kits, used a little bit of the brown, and then went back over that just really lightly with the orange rust, and I think that gave it a good good sheen on the seats. The pedals are Tamiya rubber black. Wanted to have it a little more contrast, and then the sticks, of course, are semi-gloss black. And then we've got the gray on the interior. We added the little bottle, and I painted the straps back there. So I think the interior is looking pretty good, even though you're probably not going to see a whole lot of it. And then lastly, the engine. I am really tickled to death with this. After we got that silver leaf on it, let that dry, went back over the entire engine with a nice wash, which that really brought out a lot of the details. And the dark pieces you see here were supposed to be black, but I went back on those with NATO black, which has a little bit of a grayish, I don't want to say green, but a grayish bluish green in it, and I think that looks pretty good. Some flat black across the tip of the exhaust pipe there. I left the muffler the same color, the silver leaf, as the engine block. I did not put a wash over it. I wanted it to stay kind of clean looking. And the pipes themselves, I decanted a little bit of titanium gold and then lightly brushed that around those exhausts. And I'm thinking about, I think that looks good just like it is, but this is the top of the engine, by the way, and that's going to be on the bottom, so you're really not going to see it. But what I was thinking about doing is taking some of the heat stain lavender from All-Clad and just kind of dry brush just a little bit at the muffler ends and where it comes out of the heads and the bends there. And then I thought, well, even though nobody will see it, I'll know it's there. And I may or may not do that. I just think this looks pretty good. But that whole engine being that with a wash, I really think that turned out well. For as tiny as the thing is. But cool. Okay, guys, that's going to be it. I did want to get the fuselage together and in primer. However, that just didn't happen because of all that flash. I'm going to go ahead and clean that up in the next video. I'll have that done. Hopefully, I'll have the paint and decals very shortly, and I'll get this thing knocked out. I've got an idea on how to do the display base. I think that's going to work really well, and it'll keep it kind of protected. But that's it for this one, guys. Hope y'all have enjoyed the story on this thing and a little bit of techniques and all. Hope y'all have an awesome week. God bless, and we will see you in the next video. Later, guys.